Welcome everyone. Don't click away, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you how to make the perfect granny square. In this video, I'm going to show you how to fix the one mistake that makes your granny squares all wonky and lopsided. If you're struggling with changing colors and those pesky corners, keep watching. I'll help you out. Hi everyone, I'm Tammy from Flutterby Creations, and my goal is to teach you how to crochet and have fun with it. So if you want to learn how to make beautiful things with your hands, have easy tutorials, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Alright guys, so what we're going to be making is this lovely granny square over here. So this is just a sample that I made, but obviously I'm going to use one colors for each row. But yeah, shall we get started? I'll show you how this is done. Alright, so for this granny square, I have got 3 different colors, so I can also show you how to do some color changes in your granny squares. And then obviously I have my hook of choice. So I have a 4mm hook here. Alright, so I think I'm going to start with, let's start with some blue. Alright, let's grab a strand here. Alright, let's get going. Okay, so there are 2 ways that you can start a granny square. So you can either start it with a magic ring. In many of my other tutorials, I teach you how to make a magic ring. So I'll put the links for those videos in the description. But I'm going to teach you how to do a different type of magic ring for this granny square. It's going to make it much easier to make. Alright, so we're going to make a chain for this granny square and then make it into a ring. We're going to start with a slip knot. So what you're going to do is you're going to make it into a loop. You're going to put your strand through the middle and basically just loosely tighten it like so. You're going to put your hook through, and then you're going to pull down on both strands so that you have a loop, and you're going to pull tight. Okay, so we have pulled our slip knot tight, and what we're going to do is we're going to just put your finger on that loop, your middle finger on that loop, and we're going to make a chain of 6 now. So in order to do that, we're going to yarn over and pull that strand through that first chain. Let's count to 6. So that was actually our first chain, because that, by pulling the strand through that first loop, it makes a knot. So it basically ties your work off to start with, which is pretty nice. Right, so that's our first chain. So then we're going to make 6 chains. So 1, 2, yarn over, pull through, 3, yarn over, pull through, 4, 5, and 6. So there we have chain 6. In order to do a slip knot, we're going to yarn over and pull that strand through both of the loops in order to do a slip knot. So there we have our loop, and we're going to work into this circle for our granny square. Alright, so let's get started with that. So first step is you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. This is the first double crochet for your granny square. Alright, then next step is to do 2 more double crochets. So yarn over for double crochet, into the loop, pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. That is your first cluster of 3 for your granny square. Right? So then your next step is to yarn over and chain 1. Alright. Okay, now we're going to do 3 more clusters of 3 double crochet with a chain 1 in between. Okay, so I'll give you another example, and then we can carry on to the next row. Alright, so we're going to yarn over, into the loop, pull up a loop, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Alright, so please do 2 more double crochets for your cluster. 1, 2, 'Alright, so there's 1, 2, 3 double crochets for this cluster, and then a chain 1. Alright guys, please complete the next 2 clusters for your granny square with a chain 1 in between, and I'll meet you back at the end. Alright, so as you can see here, my little hole in the center of my square, of my granny square, has become smaller, but it's because what I did is I took my tail and I pulled it tight to decrease the size of the circle in the middle. So please do that now, and you'll see your granny square will shrink in the middle and make the hole non-existent. Alright, so I have done my 4 clusters of 3 with chain 1s in between. So now I've chained 1 after my last cluster. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the 2 sides by going under this chain 2 at my beginning, at the beginning of my square. I'm going to go under the top chain, and I'm going to just do a slip knot, and that's how I'm going to connect my 2 sides of my granny square. Right guys, let's get started on changing to our next color. So I'm going to show you how I like to change colors. So I first of all like to, just to secure it a little bit, I like to snip a tail long enough for weaving in those ends, and then I like to just make a knot at the end of each color, just to make sure it is nice and secure and it's not going to pull out. Alright, so I think our next color, let's do my orange, my coral orange. Right, so I've got my coral orange. Okay guys, so in order to attach my next color, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a chain 1 space. So here I have my knot from my previous color. There's my chain 1 space. So I'm going to attach my new color into this chain 1 space, pull up a loop, and chain 2. 1, 2, there we go. So I've started my new color on my granny square. Alright, now this next trick is going to ensure that your granny square does not go wonky. And it's something so simple. You're literally going to turn your work. And you are going to work for each row, you're going to turn your work, and you're going to work on opposite sides. And this is going to ensure that your granny square does not come out wonky and lopsided. Alright, so for the second row, I'm going to once again do clusters of 3 double crochets into each chain 1 space. Alright, so let's get started. The chain 2 count as our first double crochet. Right, 2 and 3. There we go. So I have my first cluster of double crochet in my second row, then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to look for my next chain 1 space, which is over here. It's always better to try and feel for them. So then you're basically going to stretch over to the next chain 1 space, and you're going to work a cluster of 3 double crochet into that chain 1 space. Sorry, I'm getting my tails mixed up here. So 2 and 3 double crochet into that chain 1 space. And now, so these chain 1 spaces count as the corners of our square. So now this next thing is very important. We have our first cluster of 3 in our chain 1 space. We are going to chain 2. Alright, and then we're going to make another cluster of 3 double crochet into this same chain 1 space. Three double crochets. There we go. And as you can see, that is our first corner forming for our granny square. Corners are what give granny squares the shape, so don't skip that chain 2. Alright, so then don't forget your chain 1, and now we're going to look for our next chain 1 space, and we're going to do the cluster of 3, the chain 2, and the next cluster of 3 into that chain 1 space. And we're going to chain 1 after that, and then we're going to look for our last chain 1 space and do the same to make another corner. So please continue until you get to your last chain 1 space, and I will show you what to do when you get here. Alright everyone, so I have finished my clusters of 3 and my chain 2 and then second cluster of 3 all the way around. I have chained 1, and now I'm going to show you what to do with your last corner. Alright, so basically what you're going to do is you're just going to do into the same space, you're going to do another cluster of 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so I now have my 2 clusters for my corner. So what do you need in between your 2 clusters? Your chain 2. Right, and then you're going to take that chain 2 and you're going to connect it to the chain 2 that was at the beginning of this cluster. So you're going to go under the top one and you're going to slip stitch to connect it. Alright, now for my third row, I'm going to cut off a tail, going to make a knot, don't forget to comment about any future tutorials you'd love to see. I'd love to make them for you and help you out on your crochet journey. This is what makes a granny square so repetitive and so easy. The third row is the row that you're going to repeat for the whole granny square. No matter how big you make the granny square, this is the sequence you're going to repeat. So let me grab my third color. Right, tighten that a little bit. Okay, there is my chain 2 for my third row. I'm going to turn my work. Remember, this is the key step to not having a wonky granny square. And I'm going to work my first cluster of 3 into this corner, chain 1 space. So you make your first cluster of 3, chain 1, and then as you can see, there is now a chain 1 space in the middle of your granny square. So you're going to make a cluster of 3 into that chain 1 space. A cluster of 3 double crochet into that chain 1 space. You're going to chain 1, and you're going to have another corner. So we're going to go cluster of 3, chain 2, and cluster of 3 again. Right, and please don't forget, at the end of every cluster of 3, you do a chain 1. And once again, here is another chain 1 space, so we're going to make another cluster of 3 double crochet. Chain 1. Alright. So guys, what you're going to do next is you're obviously going to do in this next corner chain 1 space, you're going to do a cluster of 3, chain 2, cluster of 3 double crochet, chain 1, then into the next chain 1 space, cluster of 3 double crochet, chain 1, then another corner, and then another cluster of 3 into this chain 1 space. And I'll meet you again at the end. My small little channel is now at 450 views. Thanks everyone, I really appreciate it. Alright guys, so we have made it to the end of our granny square. I just need to do one more double crochet into this cluster to make it a cluster of 3. There we go. Alright, then we need to, as just like before, we need to chain 2, and we need to slip stitch it to the chain 2 of the first cluster here. So let's do that quickly to finish our granny square. Okay, our chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch to the other chain 2 to finish up our granny square. Alright guys, what do you think? Pretty decent granny square. Keep watching until the end. I am super excited to reveal what my blessings blanket is looking like so far. So please keep watching. Thanks for watching till the end, guys. I really appreciate it. Now, the most exciting part of this video, my January blessing blanket reveal. So excited to show you. Give me a minute. Tell me what you think. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh, it's beautiful. Each row is lovingly crocheted. Each row has a description in my journal. I can't wait to show you February's square. But I kind of need you guys to keep me accountable. So don't be afraid to message down in the comments and say, what's happening with your blessings blanket? So please, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Happy crocheting!